This is the moment that a 48-year-old British NGO worker was arrested. The two girls behind him have been locked in his bedroom for 5 days. They thought he was a doctor. But this man isn't a doctor, and he never has been. Seen here in a shop buying children's underwear the day before, his intention was not to help, but to do grave harm instead. Following his arrest, he is now serving a 12-year prison sentence as punishment for his behaviour. But no amount of time behind bars can take away from the mental scars he left behind on the girls that he abused. But however shocking, the story of how this man gained access to his victims is not altogether unusual in Cambodia.
Yeah, I saw one foreigner and 2 Cambodian boys aged around 7 to 10 years old, and a lady, Cambodian lady around 30 years old.
Seen here roaming the streets of downtown Phnom Penh, a team of specialist agents and undercover investigators who work for an organisation known as Action pour les Enfants, or APPLE, work tirelessly to protect children from becoming victims of sexual abuse. But apparently they are witnessing more and more incidents of travelling sex offenders who target unlicensed and poorly run orphanages as a means to gain access to children.
We know that these people are using this NGO background and NGO work to carry themselves up from being detected by the authority. And the investigator can prove that easily when they do this sort of day-to-day investigation on the suspect.
These images, shot undercover by APPLE investigators, feature a few of many orphanages and so-called NGOs in Cambodia that have been linked to incidents of sexual abuse. Hiding behind the veil of doing good, with the actual intention of doing grave harm to the poorest and most vulnerable children, is the ultimate betrayal. Yet as more and more unlicensed orphanages open up across the country, so too does it become harder to monitor the behaviour of the employees that work within them.
Generally, people would not suspect someone working with the NGO when they are going out with children, hanging out with children, talking to children, touching children, because the general public would have the first impression that this is just part of their work.
Following decades of civil unrest, Cambodia is emerging as a new and popular destination for tourists. But as the number of foreigners has increased, so too have the number of orphanages that financially depend on them. In this film, we find out what happens when children and their families fall into the hands of tourists and NGO workers who end up exploiting the very people they are pretending to protect. It's 2:30 in the afternoon on a dusty backstreet in downtown Phnom Penh. Although nothing appears unusual, the man on this motorbike is working undercover and monitoring the behaviour of 2 suspected paedophiles who are volunteering in an orphanage just opposite from where he is standing.
Sometimes even though to the hotel room, they bring the kid to the hotel room, but the orphanage, the center, they don't care or they don't know exactly about what is going on outside.
Earlier in the week, the same investigator recorded these images of one of the suspects in a public pool with a group of children from the orphanage. APPLE is the name of the organisation carrying out these investigations. Since 2003, they have been working closely with national and international police authorities to help protect vulnerable children from becoming victims of sexual abuse, with a particular focus on travelling sex offenders. Over time, they have discovered that swimming pools are a popular choice for suspected sex tourists.
I think the guy who are bring the kid to the swimming pool, they are have like their behavior or the way of their touching the kid are inappropriately, like he tried to pull the children up and some genital to the kid as well, and the way how like he tried to teach the kid how to swim as well. This kind of the way touching is not appropriately way what I see.
Like many orphanages in Cambodia, this one relies entirely on donations from volunteers to operate. Using an undercover camera, we went inside to find out exactly how easy it was to get a job here. Without questioning our background, we were given a tour of the children's bedrooms and were informed that anyone could take the children out for the day. It was just a question of money.
The $20 just only like the kind of the volunteer support to the lighthouse, like to the children, and also if they would like to have more something like buy something for children like food with vegetable. Bring some children visit somewhere around in Cambodia or to the small swimming pool, like water park, and also the zoo.
Since 2005, Cambodia has seen a 75% increase in its number of orphanages. It is no surprise that foreign arrivals has increased 250% in the same period. In this part of the world, orphanages have become big business, but it is the children who pay the price.
Orphanage, they are not really treated well for the kid, and also they don't really have following the national minimum standard. They don't really have the child protection policy in place, and also in the way of treatment, the kid is not really really good.
Taito works for Friends International, one of the country's largest NGOs that works with disadvantaged families across the region. In 2011, they launched the Child Safe campaign, which aims to raise awareness among tourists about the dangers of irresponsible volunteering. Today, he is delivering leaflets to hotels across the city.
All child safe hotel, certified hotel, we leave all the child safe information, we leave all child safe promotion material. All this material, we have all information regarding to child protection and also what they can do during their stay in Cambodia.
But as well as informing tourists, Friends International also has a campaign to raise awareness among tuk-tuk drivers, who they believe also have a major role to play when it comes to keeping children safe.
We're working with them in order to be our eye, to be our ear, because they are on the street every day. In case they see any abuse happening, they just immediately take action by stop abuse, or they talk to the parent, they talk to adult, they talk to the local authority, or they referring to any NGO who are located around their location.
But unfortunately, when it comes to hiding behind charity work to access and abuse children, volunteering in poorly run orphanages is just one of the problems. These two boys were abused by a Dutch national known only as Sebastian, who, despite having a previous conviction in Holland for sex crimes, was able to set up an NGO for children, which he then systematically raped. Even though these boys were living with both parents, Sebastian convinced their mother that they would be better off under his care. She trusted his intentions, agreed to let them go, and then he kept them in a rented room from which it was impossible to escape.
Sebastian had really close access to all the children under his care, and he also had absolute trust from the families.
Apple worked tirelessly to bring sufficient evidence against Sebastian, but the case was overturned twice in court, and the Apple staff here believe it is likely that a simple bribe got him off the hook. As a result of his release, however, the boys now live in constant fear that he may return to attack them again if they leave this shelter. Tim is the investigation manager for Apple, and he has been working on the Sebastian case for over 3 years. Determined to bring yet more evidence against him, Tim is now about to make the 8-hour journey by bus up north to the popular tourist destination of Siem Reap, where Sebastian lives.
I want to find out the truth and to find out the justice for Cambodian children. That's it. Siem Reap's cultural attractions make it a popular destination for tourists, but it has also become a destination for travelling sex offenders. Wasting no time when he gets there, Tim heads straight towards Sebastian's house, and intends to try and speak with his neighbours.
That is the location, so I will go there in order to talk to his neighbor, in order to identify more possible victim and witness.
But he is going to have to be careful. Sebastian has become aware that his behaviour is being monitored, and he has become extremely aggressive towards Apple staff. 2 of Tim's colleagues watch on from a distance and are ready to intervene if he gets in trouble. Just a few metres from his house, Tim speaks to this lady selling watermelons, who apparently knows him well.
She told me that there are 6 boys here that have good relationship with Sab and often seen to enter to his room. So the age is ranging from 5 to 11 years old.
The fact that Sebastian is still regularly bringing boys to his home confirms Tim's suspicions that he is almost certainly still abusing children with complete impunity.
Just clarify that he touching the boy and he loved the boy and support the boy only, but they never seen he, support or have relationship with young girl.
But unfortunately, Sebastian's behaviour is not altogether unusual in Siem Reap. This undercover video material shot by Apple shows a British NGO worker called Nick Griffin playing with a group of boys in the same river that Sebastian had taken his victims. This boy was tempted away from his family and went to live in Nick's shelter, as he was promised food, books and toys. But instead of being helped by Nick, he was sexually abused by him. Eventually, Apple collected enough evidence against him, and Nick Griffin was sentenced to 2 years in prison in Cambodia. When he finished his sentence, he was then deported back to the UK by the British police. Yet despite Apple's efforts, gaining sufficient evidence against suspected paedophiles is getting increasingly difficult.
ដោយសារតែរឿងខ្លះបានកើតយូរមកហើយរឿងខ្លះក៏មានការផ្ដល់ជាព័ត៌មានពីអ្នកដែលយើងគិតថាជាមន្ត្រីដែលធ្វើការងារតាក់ទងទៅនឹងការផ្ដល់ព័ត៌មានសម្ងាត់
Empowering communities with knowledge and awareness is vital for their own protection. Life with Dignity is an NGO that works with rural communities across the country. They believe that for abuses by NGO staff to stop, it is the communities themselves that must be aware of how they can make complaints if they need to.
So this is the kind of the box, and so who can report, and what kind of report that they can do, and how long does it take, and to respond to the community when there is any kind of abuse by our staff.
But making people aware of how to make a report is one thing, convincing them to actually do it is quite another. As the number of foreign tourists continues to grow in Cambodia, so too will the number of people wanting to make money from them. For as long as orphanages and so-called NGOs are allowed to profit from tourists, it is the children who will be used to attract them. Despite their terrifying ordeal, these children are some of the lucky ones. Thanks to Apple, they were rescued and are now receiving the essential care and protection they need. But for so many other children, poorly run residential homes provide sex offenders with the perfect cover. Until all organisations in Cambodia and elsewhere are forced to adhere to effective child protection policies, these abuses look set to continue.